Hey there, welcome to First Five. If you're looking for encouragement, you came to the right place. Let's dive in. Well, today I want to talk about murder. You're like, yo, you're super dramatic. When did this become a true crime podcast? I know it's not, but we're reading through the book of Exodus and we've come up on Exodus 20, the 10 commandments. And I want to focus on one commandment in particular. Exodus 20:13, it says, you shall not murder. That's it. You shall not murder. Now, for most of us, we have checked this one off the list. Right? For most of us, we have not experienced murder in that way. We have not put our hands to someone physically to harm them in this way. And so for most of us, when we're looking at the commandments and their applicability to us, we just wipe this one off the list, wipe this one out of existence. We don't even give it thought or consideration because we know that we have not murdered. But here's the crazy thing. I want to talk about today the concept of murder as a mindset, not simply the action of murder, but having it as a mindset. I'm going to connect this to the New Testament in just a bit. But what I want you to see here is that the purpose of the 10 commandments. Many people can look in the Old Testament and see this vengeful God, see God as this vengeful God who creates all of these rules that we have to follow to a T, not understanding the conditions in which God creates these commandments. God creates these commandments to create a fair and just society amongst a rebellious people. The Israelites have proven themselves as rebellious people. They are constantly fighting to get back to Egypt. They're constantly complaining about all the things that they don't have. Oh, at least we had leeks. At least we had food. At least we had service in Egypt when we were in captivity. They're longing for captivity instead of joining with God to find life in their creator. Like they're longing for their captivity more than they're ever longing for life in their creator. And so in the wilderness, they can't see past their difficult situations to see what God is doing in any particular moment. And as a result, they have become a rebellious people. They are rebellious toward God and they're rebellious toward his very nature and character because they have become so harmful to one another and damaging to one another. And the society has just consistently done what societies consistently do. They fall in victim and prey to sin. And so what does God do? God creates these commandments. Why? So that he can create a fair and just society. These are rules that people can live by in order to have a fair and just society. And so the concept of not murdering seems simple to us because it's a part of our justice system, but it is pulled ultimately from Exodus 20, from the 10 commandments. Now, let's address this concept of you not murdering. I know you feel as if, and you are most likely 100% right, you have not murdered, at least in the physical. But I can make an argument here today that you have murdered in your mind. I want to read something to you that Jesus does here. And I think it's really, really fascinating. Something I want you to take into consideration is this. Our thought life has killed off more people than our hands ever could. I'm gonna say that again. Our thought life has killed off more people than our hands ever could. The scriptures, and we've talked about this on this podcast before, but the scriptures put such great importance on what you think. What you think about people matters. The way that you think about people matters. I want to read this to you. This is what Jesus does. Jesus makes this correlation in the New Testament in case the Old Testament doesn't do it for you. And if you look at Matthew 5, this is Jesus's Sermon on the Mount. It's one of Jesus's most famous sermons. But he says this in Matthew 5, verses 21 to 22. It says, "You have heard that it was said to the people long ago, you shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment." So he's referring to the Old Testament, referring to the 10 commandments. But then Jesus says this. He says, "But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to a brother or sister, raka, and raka just means empty-headed or foolish, is basically like saying somebody's stupid or inferior. But anyone who says to a brother or sister, raka, is answerable to the court. And anyone who says you fool will be in danger of the fire of hell. Jesus is saying that you've heard the ancient law. You know that you shouldn't murder. You know who the moral authority is, and you understand that the law is applicable to you today. But then I love what Jesus does next. He says, listen, you've heard that this has been said that you shouldn't murder, but I'm telling you, if you're angry with a brother or sister, then you will be subject to judgment. Basically, Jesus is saying, I gave you the law to keep you from lawlessness, but I did not give you the law to keep you from love. The purpose of the law ultimately is to love God and love people better. That's what we often miss. The purpose of the 10 Commandments is to love God and love people better. That is the whole purpose of the scriptures. The first half of the 10 Commandments in general focus their attention on how we can love God, how we can serve God. The back half are all focused in relation to our relationships with other people. And so the commandments in and of themselves, the law in and of itself is to keep you from lawlessness, but not to keep you from love. So let's talk about your mind again. What are you thinking about the people around you? You may not have physically killed anybody off, but mentally you may have, emotionally you may have. Like in your anger, you are subject to judgment in the same way. Though you may have not murdered physically, in your mind and in your heart, you have killed off more people than you can imagine. And we've all done it. We've all had these angry, negative thoughts and feelings toward other people, which has put us subject to judgment as a result of what Jesus says here in Scripture. But here's some good news. Here's what I want you to see today. Here's some encouragement for you today. I encourage you, wherever there is anger, if there's someone that you're angry with in your life, or you're angry, or someone is angry with you, I encourage you to reconcile. Like, we've been given the message in the ministry of reconciliation and grace. I would encourage you to reconcile to them. You may have cut them out of your life. You may have said that I'll never speak to them again. You may have said, hey, I'm done with them and I understand you. I've been there before, but I would encourage you to reconcile. I want to read another portion of Matthew 5 to you. It says, therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar first and go and be reconciled to them. Then come and offer your gift. This is right after Jesus is talking about you being angry and that being considered murder. And so what often happens is your blessings in and of themselves can be blocked by the anger that you feel toward other people. Because the way that you think about other people, the mindset that you have about other people, and the feelings and the emotions that you display toward other people can affect the way that you treat them. And Jesus is saying, hey, you're offering, if you're coming here to give an offering, if you're coming here to praise and worship, if you're coming here to receive anything, before you do any of that, you should be reconciled to the people around you. God cares what you think about. God cares about your emotional state toward other people. God cares about your mindset toward other people. And when we're processing through murder as a mindset, God cares how you feel about other people. So I want to encourage you today, let's rethink the law. Let's rethink the way that we treat one another. Let's rethink the way that we think toward other people. And let's treat them with the love and the grace of Christ that the law has ultimately been instated to do. Like, let's treat people with the love and the grace of Christ that the law has given us the permission to show them. Okay? I really hope that encouraged you today. We'll talk soon.